Do you sometimes suffer from a sore little toe when you're wearing your shoes? If you do, it's a really common problem, usually caused by one of a couple of things. Firstly, shoes that don't fit properly, friction in the little toe area, or sometimes you have a foot defect or problem. I'm going to go into some of the simple things you can do to solve the problem really quickly, and most of them you can do at home. So the first thing is if that little pinky toe hurts in your shoes, then you need to look at the type of shoes that you're wearing. It's really important to buy shoes that fit you properly because they're going to reduce pressure on your feet and they're less likely to move around as you walk or create those friction points. Shoes that are too tight or too loose are a recipe for problems. If you've got a problem where you're in between sizes, always try and buy shoes that fit the largest size so that there's no pinching, pressure, or rubbing. And where possible, try those shoes on later on in the day when your feet have had a chance to expand from standing so you get a better fit. When you're trying on those shoes, make sure that you look at the width of the shoe and make sure it gives you plenty of room for your little toes to move around freely. So you really should be looking for shoes with a wider toe box. A wide toe box gives your toes room to spread out and that helps to reduce pressure and rubbing. Also check inside the shoe, make sure there's no seams, irritants that could cause a problem. Be aware that if you're a woman and you want to wear high heels or pointy shoes, that can also be problematic. So choose ones that are super comfortable. If you do this, this is a great start to solving the problem. However, what do you do if you've already got some shoes and they're causing you a problem and it's too late to send them back? Now, the first one of my go-to solutions is using a shoe stretcher. Stretching shoes can help to prevent blisters or pain, and it's a really simple way of remedying the issue of tight shoes. Now, just remember there is always a limit to how much you'll be able to stretch them to, either in width or length. So you can normally do it around a half to one size. Now, there are lots of different methods to stretch your shoes, but my favorite is using a shoe stretcher. This is an example of one that I found online, but if you go to my links below, you'll see that I recommend a cheaper version that you can get in plastic now from places like Amazon that's a four-way stretcher, and that simply means that it will stretch widthways and lengthways. You can also buy shoe stretching sprays, and again, I'll link to one of those. There you just spritz them inside your shoes, dampen the insides, and then start walking around in those shoes with socks on. And again, they will stretch the material, and that can be leather or canvas or pretty much most materials apart from man-made stuff. And that is a great way of solving your problem and getting that little bit of extra room. My next solution, another nice simple one, is wearing socks. Okay, this isn't going to work obviously for high heels or those pointy female shoes, but they work well for general shoes or if you're wearing something with jeans. Socks that you need to be thinking about are ones that are double layer socks or anti-blister socks, okay? Because these are the ones that keep your feet friction free and also your feet dry because sweat has a habit of softening the skin on your toes and making them more vulnerable to blisters. So if you've got anti-blister moisture wicking socks, it makes a real big difference and creates that protective barrier. My next solution, well, it's actually three solutions, but slightly different products: toe tape, moleskin, or toe sleeves. Okay, toe tape comes on a big roll. It's a bit like plaster. You wrap it round the affected area, so in this case, the pinky toe, and that stops some of the friction. Moleskin is a bit similar. It's sticky, and you can stick it either onto your foot or the inside of your shoe to stop the rubbing. Or you get toe sleeves, and you can see something like a toe sleeve here. This is obviously the big toe, but you can get ones that fit on the little toe as well, that also act with, to create a little bit of cushioning. All of them are relatively cheap to buy, and they're a simple solution to try and stop that friction, especially when you've got new tight shoes. Couple of things that I want to mention here. Orthotics. These are a solution to help alter the foot's gait. so they make it easier for your foot to stay in a stable position when you're walking. So this is a little bit more of an expensive solution than the tape, but it is a longer term solution, and also it helps with other types of foot pain as well. But I will state that some people have foot deformities, especially around the pinky toe area, called Taylor's bunions. Now, a Taylor's bunion tends to occur at the base of your little toe, and it causes the bone to stick out. And when that happens, it's easier for your foot to start rubbing on shoes, especially ones that don't have a wide toe box. You can do things like ice it to try and help the problem. And again, as I've mentioned before, choosing shoes with a wide toe box, and they can really help. But ultimately, you may need an op if your Taylor's bunion is too large, because an orthotic or any of the other products that I'm mentioning won't solve that problem in the long term, especially if it's too big. The other product that I quite like is a blister stick. And blister sticks are just little balm things that you can buy online, and you rub it over the toe area that's got the problem, and it stops your socks or tights or your shoes from rubbing against your foot because it creates a sort of gliding action. And they're really cheap as chips. The only problem with them is that you do have to reapply it throughout the day. But there is a product that I found just recently called Run Goo that's meant to last all day long. So again, I'll put a link below. And Run Goo does a similar kind of thing as a blister stick, but apparently it lasts all day, which is a real bonus if you've got a hassle of trying to take your shoes and socks off every time you want to reapply it. Finally, I have to mention that obviously if you've got corns or calluses, then the products that I use will only have a sort of temporary effect. And really what you need to do is see a podiatrist. But I would always recommend trying the cheap and easy methods first. That's what I'm here to advise you to do. But then if you've got a real problem where you do have these, issues in your foot, then you see a podiatrist and they'll be able to sort you out. You can visit my website sheepeddy.com for more shoe reviews, footwear fixes and handy tips to help with your foot health.